Okay, we're here in the Project Financial Status tab, and this tab gives you an overall status of where you're at on the project. So once people have filled out their timesheets, it will give you an overview of by days, or I can click by hours, or by budget. Again, that's just the amount of hours multiplied by the rates of the individual. So we do have an overall project fee, $10,000 plus the $1,000 expenses plus a scope change. So we're going to be invoicing $12,000 for this project. And when we look at the status, the amount of hours that have been worked currently to date, we've budgeted about 5.2 days, and the estimate of that really comes from the project data here. So the average hourly rate, so you might have a mixed rate in your office. You might have some people working $200 an hour and some people working $50, but your average hourly rate is this. That plus the budget, it will estimate how many days are allocated. We haven't assigned all of the phases to this, so there's still some fee to set up. So when I go back to my status on the project, the days remaining are 2.8. Now we haven't set up those additional phases yet, so those aren't accounted for in the days remaining. So there's more time remaining once we set up those extra phases or we top up these existing phases. This will give you kind of a project update on where you're at with the project, your average hourly rates here, which is pulled from your admin section. So under admin, your average hourly rate, when you set up every project, it will use that as your average across your company, and that's where that comes from. So we can look at that as well as on a phase basis. This is a graph showing the number of days. So we're 2 and a bit days on the first phase, and we're less than a half a day that's been spent. So once you start to go over budget, the over budget days will show up in red. This information as well is all accounted for in your timesheets, and it's again one of the real strong suits of GroupThinq is that if we look in the project timesheets, we can see that we've already consumed roughly 24% of the budget on that job. And so if you click on the progress, you see that this is that same progress window that the project manager has access to. Your entire team will have access, so they can start to self-manage on a job. And that's the idea behind GroupThinq, is that if you give individuals enough information to manage a project, then your team will consistently start to bring in projects more on budget because they'll have the information that they need. They won't be needlessly padding their time on a job, because not only can the project manager see the amount of time that's been spent, but really your entire team that's working on that project will have access to everybody's hours on that, and so it will limit them from starting to pad a job as well. We can go into the timesheet report here too, and that gives you the time that's been set up. So back to projects and your project financials and status. The status will generally give the project manager and your entire team an overview of where you're at and where you're at. If you're over budget on any given phase, it's going to show that to your team.